Good morning, everyone. We are here, it's Thursday, February 10th, 9 a.m. We're here in conference room 325 for a hearing of the Committee on Energy and Environmental Protection. And we will jump right in. First on our agenda, we have House Bill 1842 relating to climate change impacts on human health. This is creating a position within Department of Health to look at these issues. And first up to testify, we have Department of Health Director Char.
Hi, good morning, Chair Low and Vice Chair, members of the committee. Lauren Kim, Planning and Policy Officer for the Department of Health. We'd like to stand in strong support of this measure, but would like to recommend this committee entertain an amendment that came to us after I submitted the testimony, which is to alter the name of the title, should this pass, from Climate Change and Human Health Coordinator to Climate Change and Human Health Specialist. We arrived at this recommendation after discussing with the State Sustainability Coordinator. We don't want too many coordinators running around, and we do want to emphasize that this position is focused on human health and climate change to work with the Sustainability Coordinator amongst all the other specialists and subject matter experts in the executive branch and in the public. Thank you for the opportunity to testify, and I'll be on for questions.
Thank you. And next, Department of Budget and Finance with comments. We have also two individuals in opposition. Did I miss anyone? Anyone else here to testify? If not, members, any questions? All right, if not, we'll move on. Next on the agenda, we have House Bill 1528 relating to composting. First up is Department of Budget and Finance with comments. Department of Agriculture.
Aloha and good morning, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Phyllis Shimabukuro-Geyser, Chairperson, Department of Agriculture. We stand on a written testimony supporting the bill. And as you can see in our testimony, we think that we can run the program if the measure is adopted with existing staff. Mahalo.
Great, thank you. And then I also have Morris Atta, I think just available for questions. Is that
correct? Yes.
Okay, great, thanks. And then Hunter Hevlin, Hawaii Farmers Union.
Aloha, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. I'm Hunter Hevlin, representing Hawaii Farmers Union United, and we're standing in support of our written testimony and look forward to seeing a permanent compost reimbursement program established within the Department of Agriculture. Happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
And then we have Hawaii Alliance for Progressive Action in support, Mulkern Landscaping and Nursery in support, and Hawaii Farm Bureau. Brian Miyamoto, are you present? Farm Bureau submitted testimony in support, and then we had Malama Kauai in support, Food and Policy in support, and then 14 additional individuals in support. Is there anyone I missed who is here to testify in person? If not, members, any questions? Go ahead, Brett Martin.
Hi, I have a question for the Department of Agriculture. I'm curious about the previous pilot program. I think the budget for that was $300,000. I wonder how many people were served by it and what the largest, amount a single beneficiary received was.
Thank you for the question, Representative. We should have Todd Lowe, who was administering the previous compost reimbursement program. Todd, can you answer that question?
Yes, thanks, Phyllis. My name is Todd Lowe. I'm the manager of the Aquaculture Development Program, and we administered the previous compost reimbursement program. So I have some totals. There was a 2-year program. We put out $153,000 in the first year to 22 companies and $237,000 to 52 companies in the next year. I'd have to look into how many of those companies were duplicates and who got the most money, but I can get back to the committee with that shortly.
Thanks. I guess quick question for Department of Agriculture. Did I hear you say you think you can do this without any additional positions, and therefore would you recommend there is an additional full-time position funded and established in this bill, should we remove that section?
I'll let Todd respond. Checking with him, we did do the work with the previous reimbursement program. And Todd, you want to confirm what we said in our testimony?
Yes, that's correct. We, in order to put more money out to the constituents or the stakeholders in this case, we didn't hire anybody or go through any of that hiring purpose. So in this case, I think you don't have to do anything to the bill. It was just that we don't hire, so that goes back into the kitty that we can give out.
Okay, so you're proposing that instead of funding a position, we just increase the funding amount overall? Because I don't want to create a position that's going to remain vacant, especially if we're going into it knowing that that is the intent.
Right, my understanding is that it would just take away from that total. And then if we don't do it, that total goes back to the amount that we can give out. So I guess, I'm not sure if you have to adjust the total for anything. It's just that we don't do it, and then that funds are there.
Representative, if we can do it with existing staff, then we do not need you to appropriate a position.
Okay, got it.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks.
Okay, any further questions, members? All right, if not, we'll move on to House Bill 1526 relating to organic waste. First up, we have Department of Budget and Finance with comments and Department of Health.
Good morning, Chair Lowen, Vice Chair Martin, and members of the committee. My name is Mike Burke, and I'm with the Department of Health. We submitted testimony in support of HB 1526. We do have two what we think are relatively innocuous amendments that we propose, but otherwise we stand on our written testimony and support, and I'll be here after if you have any questions.
Thank you. And then Hunter Hevlin, Hawaii Farmers Union United.
Well, hi, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee, again, standing in support of our written testimony, and really view this as a key mechanism to establish a good source of organic materials that can help grow our local compost industry to be utilized as a local input for agricultural operations. Mahalo.
Thank you. And then we have testimony and support from Hawaii Alliance for Progressive Action, Mulkern Landscaping and Nursery, Food and Policy, Malama Kauai, Life of the Land, and then 18 additional individuals in support. Was there anyone who signed up to testify on this in advance that I missed? If not, members, any questions? Rep. Pruso, go ahead.
This is a question for the Department of Health. So in the measure, we're looking at the amount, kind of the limit over which we would ask facilities to be part of that diversion plan was left blank. And so I think that in other jurisdictions, they've looked at facilities producing more than 1 ton a week or more than 52 tons a year. And so does that seem like a reasonable parameter, or do you have other kinds of numbers in mind? Because it's possible, I think, to loosen that up a bit, to maybe double it. But if we started it at that kind of parameter, like 52 tons a year, then it gives us a kind of a clear, kind of aggressive, ambitious goal.
Yeah, I think that, from where we're at the state level, I think that obviously we would always prefer to start with an achievable goal and then ramp up to actually affect change. As far as the specific number, though, I think that, to be honest, I think that would be something that we would want to defer to the counties themselves, just because
Mhm.
each county generates different levels of waste and specifically of organic waste. And so, if we create a cap that, say it's 1 ton per year, but
Mhm.
the county of Kauai, for example, just can't achieve that, it just, they're under it. And so it kind of just skips over them. I would prefer that we, at least spend a little bit of time, should this bill go into effect, to come up with achievable numbers for each county. And so we will, in the interim, we'll contact the counties and see if they have any insight, and if there's any, if there's any number that they're thinking of.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Michael, let me follow up. What if we switched it to like a percentage reduction, and then it would be proportional for each county? And what do you think would be an achievable goal to add in there?
I think that, yeah, a percentage reduction would be better. I'm going to need to talk to our staff on what the percentages could potentially be.
Okay.
And I'll get back to you
So maybe
quickly.
we'll change the language to percentage, but still leave it blank for now while we figure that out.
Yeah, and I'll respond as soon as I can.
Chair,
But we would support the percentage reduction, certainly.
Okay, all right, Rep. Martin, Rep. Pruso, did you have further questions? Go ahead.
yeah, so sorry to interrupt. So if I could also ask the same question of Mr. Hevelin, because he's been working on this measure, I think, looking at how this kind of work is implemented in other jurisdictions. And Hunter, did you have any thoughts on that?
Sure. I mean, so looking at, I believe it's Rhode Island, Maryland, Vermont, and a few others that have what are broadly framed as kind of universal recycling mandates. They've often implemented a per ton, or rather per facility tonnage volume. And so the issue I see with a percentage approach is that it assumes that counties regularly track at a business level what the volumes are that are leaving a particular facility in private operation, and also assumes that there's regular tracking at a landfill. And at least in Honolulu County, I believe we had a 2006 waste characterization study and then a 2017 waste characterization study. So the feedback loop for really understanding that would create a significant onus on county environmental service agencies to really ramp up what they're tracking, as opposed to putting the onus on the private facility, that I think is more in line with some of how at least the food waste diversion mandate in Honolulu County currently operates. Whereas this would just require, if you're a business and you're producing a certain volume, then you're covered within this. And I agree, I think ramping it up over time, say starting with 2 tons per week, which is a significant volume of organic waste, and then in a year or two, ramping that upward to 1 ton per week will also allow other private industries to be able to receive those goods and allow, say, entities like Minahuni Magic, for example, to ramp up their operations in STEM. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Oh, go ahead. So yeah, I'm hearing that, but I guess I also hear that it, like, maybe you're thinking of this mostly in terms of Oahu, but it would be different for each island. So like, just in terms of trying to find what the right solution is for this going forward, should we have Department of Health determine, like leave that open-ended, like to be determined by Department of Health for each county?
So in my looking at the data from both Maui County and Honolulu County, there are significantly different volumes of total waste that's produced, but this measure is really intended in part outside of the planning portion, which is a county responsibility. The measure is intended to affect let's say behavioral change on the part of private industries. And so the gross volume at a county level is significantly, does vary significantly, but it also does already within private operations. And so this is just ensuring that all private operations above a certain threshold are then covered under the measure, even though the gross, within a given county does vary significantly.
Michael,
and it is, again, is in line with how a few other states have approached this.
What do you think, Michael?
No, I understand what Hunter is saying, and I think that we'll be more than happy to implement however this goes forward. And so I do think though that we want to make sure that especially since the County of Hawaii, for example, hasn't done a waste characterization study in a while, that we're not only using the city and county of Honolulu's data and the county of Maui's data. And so I think that, should this be amended so that DOH with the counties establish, a tonnage goal that potentially could help alleviate some of Hunter's concerns with regards to not just being a percentage and having to manage the tracking for that, but we just create a flat tonnage per week. But at the same time, on our end, we're at least getting input from the counties and can work with them to tailor that limit to an achievable measure that the counties can accomplish without having a statewide number that, again, the smaller counties may have challenges with accomplishing.
Okay, got it. Thanks.
If I could add, I
Uh,
think one,
All right,
one
go
potential,
ahead, Hunter.
oh, I'm sorry. I would just say one potential measure that might help alleviate some concerns from different counties that's at least been done in another jurisdiction was to establish a distance parameter. So to say that you must divert to any, sort of appropriate facility within, say, 20 miles. And so that then means if you're in, North Kohala, that though you might be producing significant volume of organic waste, you're not then responsible for driving all the way to Kona to manage it. And so I think that's one mechanism to help address, the differentiation between different counties.
Okay, all right, this has been helpful. Thank you. Any further questions, members? All right, if not, we will move on to House Bill 2255 relating to energy efficiency. This is just clarifying that for state buildings and facilities, they should seek to use energy efficient appliances. First up, we have Hawaii State Energy Office.
Aloha Chair Lowen, Vice Chair Martin, and members of the committee. The Hawaii State Energy Office supports HB 2255. The provisions proposed in the bill support Hawaii's energy efficiency for state buildings project that prioritizes the energy efficiency in state facilities through a focused collaboration with state agencies, the Hawaii State Energy Office and the Public Benefits Fee Administrator, and utilizing these incentives and rebates to reduce energy consumption and manage utility bills will greatly support that effort. So we really appreciate the opportunity to testify. Mahalo.
Thank you. And next we have Hawaii Energy in support. Climate Protectors Hawaii in support, and then 3 additional individuals in support, and Gerard Silva in opposition. Members, any questions? All right, if not, we'll move on to the next bill on our agenda. This is House Bill 2089 relating to renewable portfolio standards. First up, we have Hawaii State Energy Office, DBET.
Aloha, Chair Lowen, Vice Chair Martin, and members of the committee. I'm Kirsten Baumgart Turner, Deputy Energy Officer, and I'm presenting testimony on behalf of DBED Director Mike McCartney. DBED is in support of this measure. It amends the definition of the renewable portfolio standard. The bill will simplify the calculation using renewable generation in the numerator and total generation in the denominator, and allow the results of the calculation, i.e. the math, to better match Hawaii's stated energy goal, i.e. the language. So thank you for the opportunity to testify and to support this administrative measure. Mahalo.
Thank you. And next, DCCA, Dean Nishina, Consumer Advocate.
Aloha and good morning, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. You have my written testimony in support of this measure. Again, think it's important to try to correct the math behind the calculation so we know where we are. Thank you for the opportunity. Available for questions, if any.
Thank you. And Hawaii Public Utilities Commission.
Members of the committee will stand on our written testimony in support of the measure and available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Hawaii Clean Power Alliance in support, and then we have Hawaiian Electric. Marcosano.
Yep. Good morning, Chair and Vice Chair, members of the committee. We did express some concern in our testimony. I guess first off, we don't feel like the amendments are necessary. We are, well on our way to achieving higher levels of renewables and incentivized to do so as part of performance-based regulation. We did want to highlight a few concerns, however, that the way the calculation is being proposed, any customers that elect to self-generate any power using fossil fuels would make it impossible for us to be able to comply with the statute as amended. So we do offer a couple of amendments to address those concerns with customer-sided generation that may be using fossil fuels. Thank you.
Ulupono Initiative in support.
Good morning, Chair Lowen, Vice Chair Martin, members of the committee. Mike Komunikata on behalf of the Ulupono Initiative. We'll stand on our written testimony in support of this measure. Thank you.
Thank you. 350 Hawaii in support. Blue Planet Foundation, Melissa.
Good morning, Chair, Vice Chair, and committee members. We'll stand on our testimony in strong support of this measure. Thank you.
Thank you. And then we have Paul Bernstein in support, John Kawamoto. That is all the testimony that we have on this measure. Did I miss anyone who signed up in advance? If not, members, any questions?
Excuse me, Chair, but I just want to make sure you also noted the State Energy Office's testimony in support, which we stand
okay,
on.
thank you. So you're here for DBET and State Energy Office.
Yes,
both in support.
yes.
Thank you. I guess I have a quick question for Hawaiian Electric.
Yes. Hi, Chair.
You noted your suggested amendments, and I think those are fair requests. If we make those amendments, would you support the bill going forward?
Yeah, I believe we'd be able to support it going forward. We do note in our testimony there's probably broader policy things that need to be worked on regarding availability of fossil fuel to customers. But in terms of being able to move forward with the change in the definition, I think the amendments we'd be able to support that.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions, members? All right, if not, we'll move on to House Bill 1810 relating to the Environmental Advisory Council. First up, we have Les Segundo, Office of Planning and Sustainable Development.
Hi, Chair and Vice Chair and members. Thank you. The Office of Planning and Sustainable Development stands under testimony that they submitted. I'll be available for questions if you have any also. Thank you.
Thank you. And next we have Ona Doane?
Stone.
Stone, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair Lowen, Vice Chair Martin, and members of the committee. Just wanted to say, again, thank you to Representative Lowen and Representative Martin for introducing this bill. We submitted written testimony in support of this because we have had some trouble, with quorum over the last year or so. Should the committee have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. And thank you for the opportunity to testify.
Thank you. Are there any questions, members? That's everyone we had signed up to testify. Any questions? All right, thank you. If not, we'll move on to House Bill 2256. This is relating to a Department of Environmental Protection. First up, we have Department of Health.
Good morning, Chair Lowen, Vice Chair Martin. My name is Joanna Cito with the Environmental Management Division. The Department of Health stands on its written testimony and support. I am available if you have any questions.
Thank you. And next, DLNR.
Aloha, Chair Pua Ayu for the Department of Land and Natural Resources. The department stands on its comments provided in written testimony, and I'll be available for comments.
Thank you. Hawaii State Energy Office.
Aloha. Aloha Chair Martin and members of the committee. The Hawaii State Energy Office offers comments on HB 2256. We are concerned the bill's potential to replace or adversely impact priorities indicated in the executive supplemental budget. However, if this bill moves forward, HSCO is willing to participate in such a working group. We defer to the appropriate agency concerning the administration, implementation of the bill's requirements. Thank you for the opportunity to testify.
Thank you. And next, Board of Water Supply. In support.
Aloha Chair Lowen, Vice Chair Martin. My name is Kathy Mitchell with the Board of Water Supply, testifying for Manager and Chief Engineer Ernie Lau. We stand in support of this measure and we offer recommendations for amendments.
Thank you. And then we have additional testimony from 2 individuals in support and 2 in opposition. Anyone else here to testify on this measure? If not, members, any questions? All right, if not, we'll move on to the last bill on our agenda, House Bill 1443, relating to climate change mitigation. This establishes a climate mitigation fee on rental motor vehicles. And first up, we have Attorney General.
Good morning, Chair Lowen and members of the committee. I am Deputy Attorney General Julie Chena. We have provided our written comments and I am available for your questions. Thank you.
Thank you. And Department of Budget and Finance with comments. We have Office of Planning and Sustainable Development.
Yes. Hi. Good morning, Chair and Vice Chair, members of the committee. The Office of Planning and Sustainable Development stands on its testimony. If there are any questions, unfortunately, the state sustainability branch wasn't able to be present. So, if you have any questions, we can relay them to them.
Thank you. Then we have the Department of Transportation with comments.
Good morning, Chair Lowen, Vice Chair Martin, and honorable members of the committee. Jade Butay for DOT. We stand on our comments as submitted. Thank you.
Thank you. And then Alice Lee, Maui County Council Chair, offering support, and Kelly King, Hawaii State Association of Counties.
Thank you, Chair. Sorry about that mute button. Aloha, Chair Lowen, Vice Chair Martin, and committee members. It's nice to be here again. And HSAC stands in strong support of this measure, and we feel it will be in line with our environmental goals for county to county, and also trying to limit the amount of overall vehicles on the islands. But this measure will also address some of the impacts of tourism, which are burdening Hawaii's infrastructure and natural environment, and significantly contributing to greenhouse gas emissions and climate change. And I won't read the rest of my testimony because you have it in writing, but just here if you have any questions about HSAC. Thank you.
Thank you. And then next up, we have American Property Casualty Insurance Association. Annie, go ahead.
Yep. Aloha, Chair. Annie Makapagal on behalf of American Property Casualty Insurance Association. We are respectfully asking that you basically exempt Hawaii residents, but more specifically, those rental cars that are being utilized as a replacement vehicle in lieu of the resident's damaged vehicle. Specifically, the owner of the damaged vehicle is simply forced to utilize a rental car, and we hope that the committee can take that into consideration by exempting this specific transaction. Mahalo for the opportunity to testify.
Thank you. And next up, we have Avis Budget Group.
Good morning, Chair Lowen, Vice Chair Martin, and members of the committee. Kendall Matsuyoshi on behalf of Avis Budget, testifying in opposition to this measure. We understand the concerns about climate change, and Avis Budget is committed to sustainable transportation solutions. We optimize our fleet by leveraging connected car technology and have introduced more fuel-efficient vehicles as well as zero-emission vehicles into the fleet. We like to note that rental car vehicle customers already pay $5.50 a day for the rental motor vehicle surcharge tax, and another 450 motor vehicle customer facility charge. So add that with the GET, we have one of the highest rates rental car customers pay. So, we're still trying to recover from the pandemic, and we respectfully ask that we allow us time to recover. Thank you for the opportunity to testify.
Thank you. And then Enterprise Holdings, Matt Sujimura.
Aloha, Chair Lowen, Vice Chair Martin, members of the committee, Matt Sujimura on behalf of Enterprise Rent-A-Car. I'll also echo the same testimony from Kendall over at Avis Budget, but I will also point out, I'm sorry, we also stand in opposition, but I do want to point out from our written testimony as well that, the rental car, the amount of rental cars that are in the state actually only make up about 5% of the total vehicles in the state of Hawaii. And overall, right now, they contribute 26% of the state highway fund due to, all the amounts of different fees. And so we just feel that it's a little bit unjustified to kind of lump all of another fee onto the rental motor vehicle industry, simply because they pay their fair share and then some. But I am here and happy to answer any questions should you have any at the end.
Thank you. And then we also have submitted written testimony from Maui. Excuse me, Maui Hotel and Lodging Association in opposition, Ulupono Initiative in support, Aimua Alliance in support, Hawaii EV Association in support, Hawaii Lodging and Tourism Association in opposition, Wild Kids in support, and one individual in opposition and 2 individuals in support. Is there anyone I missed who's here to testify? If not, members, any questions?
Yes, I've got one, Chair.
Go ahead.
For Avis Rental Car.
Hi, yes, Representative.
Hi, thank you for being here. Your last name is how a lot of people pronounce my last name, so I found that very funny. Could you kind of tell us the impact? I know it's a blank amount, so it's a little hard to determine, but at what amount, if that blank amount is filled in, I'm just kind of curious, at what amount will that start to seriously impact your and other rental cars business? Can you give me just a kind of a ballpark?
I'd have to get back to that, but as Enterprise and we pointed out, comparatively, the rental car industry pays more than its fair share. Again, it makes up 5% of the total vehicles, but we contribute 26% to the state highway funds. So we feel that that the industry is unfairly being targeted compared to the number of cars that we have to the total. So we already spend what, $10 right now, and that's going to go up. In Act 237, the legislature increased that.
I understand. And you folks have made your point, which I'm not dismissing at all. I think it is kind of a serious concern. But what I'm wondering is, if this rental car charge was 10 cents, it probably wouldn't affect you. If it was $20, it definitely would. Where's the point where you folks are going to start cracking or see any significant drop off in business?
We haven't had an opportunity to review it, so I would have to get back to you on that.
Okay, might be good testimony for Finance Committee, unless we insert a number here. But just for you folks to weigh in on what might be, because we don't know the industry like you do. Yeah, so just hoping. Matt, do you have any idea on behalf of Enterprise?
Yeah, Chair, I would, sorry, Rep. I would echo what Kendall said. We haven't dove into the nitty gritties, I think, because as an overall standpoint, Enterprise does oppose any new fees. I would say though, just in response to your question, is that the rental car industry, while it is recovering now because of just the influx of primarily tourists from the mainland coming over, the amount of rental cars that we even have on board in our fleet is, as you guys have probably seen in a lot of the news articles, right? The demand is a lot higher than the supply we have right now. And so right now, I think it would be a little unfair to justify it or explain it based on how the circumstances are right now with regards to the rental car industry, because right now it probably wouldn't have as large an effect. But in the long term, especially with the rise of different types of transportation things such as peer-to-peer car sharing or TNCs, or with even rail coming up and all those different types of things, we're already starting to see a diminishment in the customer base, even though we've been a long-standing industry. So yeah, I'd have to get back to you, and I totally welcome your suggestion with regards to including that in the testimony for finance.
Okay.
But I just don't know right off the bat.
Okay. Thank you, Chair.
Sure, I have a question.
Oh, go ahead.
Thank you. And this question is for both Matt and Kendall. I noticed in your testimony, you talked about previous increases to the rented car industry. And it seems like I've been here for 16 years now. It seems like almost every other year we've increased a tax, some kind of tax on your industry. Was a facility charge. We have new facilities, beautiful new facilities on Maui and Oahu. Do any of you have that breakdown? And if you don't, I would get it prepared for the next committee if this bill moves to the next committee, so that people can see like how much we've taxed the rent-a-car industry from over the last 10 years. So Matt or Kendall, do you have that information offhand?
I don't have it offhand, but I do know that Kendall's testimony does break down that at least in the last 2 years,
I saw that.
we have already projected it up. We've hard increased it up $2, and over the next 5 years, it's going to be consistently increasing due to Act 237 last year. I do totally understand, and I can dig it up. I don't have it offhand, but I agree that at one point the rental motor vehicle surcharge was the only thing, and I think it was set at 3. But taxing on the customer facility fee for all of the rental motor vehicle, the Conracs, I should say, over at all the airports, as well as a number of other additional fees that have just increased through just the natural process. But I think, yeah, that's a good solution. We will put that in and get that for you, Representative.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Kendall, do you have anything to add to that?
No, just reiterating what Matt said. Likewise, we'll look into that, and thank you for the suggestion. We appreciate that.
Okay, thank you, Chair.
Rep Tokioka, this is Jade Butai. Rental car revenues is our top concession at the airports. We generate I think about $70 million prior to the pandemic. So that's what we were, when you're talking about we have the 2 Conracs, in Kahului and Honolulu, and we were generating about $70 million before the pandemic. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I guess quick question for Matt or Kendall, or maybe even DOT. In the past, when we have seen fee increases, has it been correlated with some drop off in the number of rentals or revenues? Because it seems like kind of a inflexible demand. I mean, tourists come here, they rent cars regardless. So if it's kind of like this argument, anytime there's a proposed tax on like tourism or other cars or something, there's some concern that it's going to decrease the number of visitors or the number of people renting cars. But I don't know that we've ever seen that actually occur. So do you have any statistics surrounding that?
Thanks, Chair, for the question. I don't have the exact number of statistics on that, but I can tell you that from 2019, obviously we had the pandemic and everything. I mean, all the numbers dropped. Right now, as we've seen it, we have seen a large influx of tourists coming back, which I'm sure we're all feeling right now. And obviously the numbers are still scaling back up into that. So I can't give you exact figures on that, simply because the pandemic kind of threw everything for a whirl, and we don't really have, because the last increase from 3 to 5 kicked in 2019 and the pandemic followed shortly thereafter. I can't give you accurate data off the top. I can ask our guys over at Enterprise to data mine for it to see if there was, or what that trend looked like. But I would also say,
if there were fee increases pre-pandemic, to sort of take out that complicating factor, which is obviously a different set of circumstances, to take a look at that and see if any of the fee increases ever actually impacted your sales of rentals.
Yeah, we can get that for you.
Great.
Okay. Thanks, Chair. Likewise, we'll do the same.
Thank you. Great, members, any further questions? All right, if not, we will recess for decision making and we'll be back soon and we're recessed. All right, we're back to take the vote on our 9 a.m. agenda. First up, we have House Bill 1842. This is relating to climate change impacts on human health. We are going to accept the suggestion of Department of Health to change the title of this position from Climate Change and Human Health Coordinator to Specialist. And we will defect the date to July 1st, 2100 and move this forward. Members, any discussion? If not, Vice Chair, please take the vote.
Voting on HB 1842, Chair recommends passing with amendments. Chair, Vice Chair vote aye. Representative Hashem. Representative Matayoshi. We can't
All
hear
right,
you. Representative Peruso.
Aye.
Representative Todd.
Aye.
Representative Tokioka.
Aye.
Representative Matsumoto.
Aye.
Chair, your recommendation has been adopted.
Thank you. Next, House Bill 1528 relating to composting. On this bill, we're going to remove the creation of a new position since the Department of Health indicated they do not need it, and defect the date to July 1st, 2100 and move this forward. I think the amount is already blank, so we'll keep it blank for now. Any discussion? If not, Vice Chair, please take the vote.
Voting on House Bill 1528, Chair recommends passing with amendments. Chair, Vice Chair vote aye. Seeing all members present, are there any noes or reservations? Hearing none, your recommendation is adopted, Chair.
Thank you. For House Bill 1526 relating to organic waste, we'll adopt the 2 suggested amendments of Department of Health from their testimony to revise the definition of organic waste and then to move some of these amendments to section 342G-26. And then for the goal for the tonnage reduction, we'll actually change that to say DOH shall establish tonnage goals for each county. And then I think the introducer of the bill might continue to have discussions on what's the best approach on this moving forward, but we're going to try that for now. And then we'll defect the date to July 1st, 2100. And that's all. Members, any discussion? If not, Vice Chair, please take the vote.
Voting on House Bill 1526, Chair recommends passing with amendments. Seeing all members are present, are there any noes or reservations? Hearing none, Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you. For House Bill 2255 relating to energy efficiency, we're going to move this forward as is. Members, any discussion? If not, Vice Chair, please take the vote.
Voting on House Bill 2255, Chair recommends passing as is. Are there, seeing all members are present, are there any noes or reservations? Hearing none, Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you. And for House Bill 2089, relating to renewable portfolio standards, we're going to make some technical amendments for clarity, consistency, and style. We're going to adopt the 2 suggested amendments of Hawaiian Electric from their testimony and defect the date on this to July 1st, 2100 and move it forward. Any discussion? If not, Vice Chair, please take the vote.
Voting on House Bill 2089, Chair recommends passing with amendments. Seeing all members present, are there any noes or reservations? Hearing none, Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you. And for House Bill 1810, we're going to move this forward as is. Any discussion? If not, Vice Chair, please take the vote.
Voting on House Bill 1810, Chair recommends passing as is. Seeing all members present, are there any noes or reservations? Hearing none, Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you. And for House Bill 2256 relating to a Department of Environmental Protection, we're going to add to the working group someone from DAGS, from DHERD, and from BNF. And we will defect the date to July 1st, 2100 and move this forward. Members, any discussion? If not, Vice Chair, please take the vote.
Voting on House Bill 2256, Chair recommends passing with amendments. Seeing all members present, are there any noes or reservations? Hearing none, your recommendation is adopted, Chair.
Thank you. And then last bill on our agenda, House Bill 1443, relating to climate change mitigation. We are going to leave that amount blank for now, because I think we still have to figure out what might be an appropriate amount and defect the date to encourage further discussion to July 1st, 2100 and move this forward. Members, any discussion?
I do, Chair. I think the industry has gone through a lot and the wounds are still fresh, given COVID and everything that has happened. So I know you're blanking the amount, and that kind of concerns me because if it goes to the next committee, you never know what's going to happen. So at this time, I'm going to vote no, Chair, with all due respect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep, Chair.
Yes.
So I do have some concerns on the AG's testimony as well about the Constitution, about whether we can put this into the general fund or not, rather than just the special fund, which is the purpose of the stated purpose of this bill. I agree with Rep. Tokioka that the industry has been through a lot. Although demand is pretty inelastic right now and very high, I'm not sure how this would impact the industry in the future. And because the amount is still blank, though, and I do want to see the conversation still going, I'm going to be voting with reservations.
Thank you. All right, if no further discussion, Vice Chair, please take the vote.
I'm voting on House Bill 1443. Chair recommends passing with amendments. Chair, Vice Chair vote aye. Representative Matsuyoshi votes with reservations. Representative Tokioka votes no. Are there any other noes or reservations? Hearing none, Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Great, thank you, and we are adjourned.